Hey there, I'm Haley from Cedar Planters, and today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to assemble our planters. Let's get started. First, what we're going to do is cut open our box and take out all of our materials, and we're actually going to use our box as the surface that we build on, just to protect whatever you're working on, make it a little bit easier. Okay, now we have our materials out from inside of our box. We have our box down as our surface to build on. We should have 2 short sides, 2 long sides, our garden fabric liner, 4 of our legs, our hardware baggy, and our base pieces. Now we can get started assembling. Okay, so for this next step, we're going to be attaching our legs to our short sides. One important thing to note is we want to make sure that the long supports are facing down, and we're going to make sure that's the case with all of our sides. We're actually assembling our product upside down to begin with. So we're going to take our steel leg and our short side, and you can see the pre-drilled holes here on both, and we're just going to line that up. And it should line up perfectly just like this. For the next part, we're going to be using our bolts and our nuts, and what we're going to do is take our bolt here. There's a little square part of the bolt, and that's gonna fit nicely into this square pre-drilled hole, like so. Next, we're gonna take our nut and we're gonna take the flush side and we're gonna attach it to the bolt here. We're just gonna use our fingers to start, and as much as you can. I'm going to be taking all of the bolts and all of the nuts and putting them in by hand to begin with, and then we'll go back in with our wrench afterwards. Okay, so now that I've tightened them as much as I can by hand, this is where I'm going to take my wrench and I'm just going to tighten them until they're snug. You don't want to over tighten them too much. All right, so now that all of my bolts and nuts are tightened snugly, I'm going to repeat this with the other leg onto this side of the short side, and then I'm going to put my other 2 legs on my other short side. Okay, so now we have our short sides with all of our legs attached. Our next step is to take our long side and attach it to our short side here. Once again, we just want to make sure that our long supports are facing down. You can see that these line up perfectly here. So same as with the short side, we're gonna line up our pre-drilled holes here into the pre-drilled holes in the leg. Okay, perfect fit. And then we're gonna be taking our bolts and putting them in through the holes. Once we have all of our bolts in, we're gonna be taking our nut and just hand tightening it to start. Now that we've hand tightened all of our nuts and bolts, our next step is to take our wrench and just tighten everything until it's snug. Okay, that feels snug there. We're going to be doing the exact same thing with our other short side and our other long side and creating this L shape. Before we assemble our second L shape, we just want to make sure that it's the exact opposite to our first L shape. Okay, now we have our 2 L shapes assembled, and we're going to put them together to create our final box. Really important, you want to make sure that both holes are lined up before you actually start to put it together with the bolts and nuts. And once that looks good, you're going to do the same process as before. Put your bolts in here. Secure it with your nut, and then we'll go in with our wrench after just to make sure everything is snug. Okay, now we have our planter box almost fully assembled. For this next part, what you want to do is take it off of the table and flip it right side up. It might be helpful to use a friend for this step. Okay, now we have our planter assembled and right side up. We're going to move on to our next few steps, starting out with putting in our base pieces. When you're putting your base pieces in, you can allow up to a 1/2 inch gap in between the pieces here. This will allow for good drainage and airflow, and it's really easy to put them in. You literally just right in, just like this. Okay, amazing. Our base pieces are now in. We're gonna move on to our garden liner and our soil. We just wanna make sure that we have our planter box in its forever home before we do add the soil. It gets really heavy to move, so just make sure you have it exactly where you want it, and then we'll move on to this step. So we're gonna be adding our garden fabric liner. We're gonna place it over top, just evenly so that the fabric falls around the sides nicely. We can start to press the fabric down and in. That's great, just like that. We can adjust it when we're adding our soil. So I have my raised garden bed in its forever home. I can now add my soil. As you're adding your soil, if you need to rearrange your liner, that's a good opportunity to do so. So now I have my soil in my planter. I'm gonna use these awesome garden tools that we also sell on our website to kind of spread the soil around, make sure everything is even. Perfect. Now you just kind of want to clean up the liner, tuck it into the side. I like to fold it down and then kind of bring the soil over to hold it in place. Yay, we're all done. Amazing job. Now you can go ahead and plant herbs, vegetables, flowers, literally anything that you want for your dream garden. We really want to thank you for supporting our business and being a part of the Cedar Planters community. Happy planting.